Welcome to Info Now. Today we are going to unfold the very fabric of reality to ask one simple but honestly mind-bending question. Is the world you see around you the real world? Let's get right into it.
Okay, let me ask you something. Imagine you're in a park. A dog is chasing a ball nearby, and a bee is buzzing around some flowers. You're all sharing the exact same physical space, right? But are you all experiencing the same world? Well, the answer, as we're about to find out, is a definite no, not even close.
And here it is, our first huge aha moment. Just look at this chart. All of that is the electromagnetic spectrum. But what we call reality is just that tiny, tiny little rainbow sliver in the middle labeled visible light. Everything else, the ultraviolet light that a bee uses as a nectar guide, or the infrared heat a snake sees to hunt its prey, it's all completely invisible to us. This is what we call the blindness of being. Our own biology is literally built to ignore almost everything. So, let's peel back that first layer of our papercraft model of the world. In Chapter 1, we're going to dig into just how limited, and honestly, how incredibly personal, your version of reality truly is.
99%. Let that sink in for a second. Our biology, your body, is actively filtering out roughly 99% of what is actually happening around you at any given moment. You know why? Because evolution doesn't care about showing you the truth. It only cares about showing you what you need to notice to survive. Everything else is just static.
And this filtering, it's not just about light. Not at all. Think about hearing. We are completely deaf to the high-frequency world a bat uses to navigate with echolocation. And our sense of smell? It's basically a joke compared to an African elephant, which has about 5 times as many genes for smell as we do. They're smelling entire histories written in chemicals that we just walk right past, totally oblivious. And this all leads us to the absolute core idea of today's entire explainer, a concept called the Umwelt. It's a German word, you say it like Umwelt, and what it means is that every single living thing exists inside its own unique sensory bubble, a bubble it builds itself based on what its senses can detect. So that park we talked about earlier, it isn't one world. It's a human world, a dog world, and a bee world, all layered over each other, but each one is a completely separate reality. Okay, so if we're all living in our own bubbles, what does some of these other bubbles actually look like? In Chapter 2, we're going to unfold a few more pages of this reality model and explore the incredible Umweltens of creatures that are hiding right in plain sight. We're going to start with the classic example, the one from the biologist who actually came up with the term Umwelt, the tick. Now, a tick lives in the same rich, vibrant forest we do, but its reality is brutally, almost beautifully simple. A tick's entire universe, its whole life story, is built from just 3 signals. That's it. First, a sense of light tells it to climb up a blade of grass. Then, it might wait for years, totally blind and deaf to everything, until it smells one specific thing, butyric acid, which is the scent all mammals give off. That smell is the signal to drop. Finally, the feeling of heat tells it, okay, you found a warm-blooded meal. Everything else, the birds chirping, the color of the flowers, none of it exists in the tick's Umwelt. It's just not there. And this quote just nails it. The biologist, von Uexküll, he argued that the tick isn't some passive little robot just reacting to things. No, it is the active creator, the machinist of its own world, building a reality perfectly suited for its survival out of just those 3 simple signals. All right, now let's jump to a totally different reality, one that to us feels like a straight-up superpower, the world of the platypus. So, the platypus hunts in pitch-black, murky water, with its eyes, ears, and nostrils all shut. Its bill is this incredibly sophisticated sensory machine, covered in thousands of electroreceptors. It detects the tiny electrical fields that its prey's muscles generate. It is literally seeing a 3-dimensional map of its world using electricity. For us, that sense is a complete and total void. We can't even imagine it. Okay, so we've seen that we all live in a filtered reality. But why? In this chapter, we're shifting from biology to cognitive science to look at the code that's running behind this papercraft model we call the world. This brings us to some really groundbreaking work from a cognitive scientist named Donald Hoffman. It's his fitness beats truth theorem, and what it says is simple. Evolution does not care about showing you reality as it truly is. Evolution only selects for perceptions that help you survive and reproduce. That's your fitness. Truth is secondary.
And that theorem leads to his interface theory of perception. Okay, for all the students watching, think about it like this. Your goal in a class is to get a good grade, right? That's your fitness. You don't need to understand the quantum mechanics of the ink and paper atoms that make up your textbook to pass the exam. You just need to understand the symbols, the words, the diagrams. Your perception, Hoffman says, works exactly the same way. It's an interface, not the reality.
This is such a perfect metaphor. I mean, when you see a blue folder icon on your computer, you know you're not seeing the actual file, which is just a complex mess of transistors and code. The icon is a useful fiction, right? It hides all that crazy complexity so you can get your work done. Well, Hoffman argues that a physical object, like an apple, is exactly the same thing. It's an icon that represents a mind-bogglingly complex physical reality, but it's presented to us in a simple, useful way that helps us survive.
And, that leads to a really profound and kind of scary question. If all the objects in our world are just icons on our species' desktop, what if space and time themselves are just the screen? Not fundamental parts of reality, but just features of our human user interface. So this brings us right up to today and into the very near future, because for the first time in human history, we are no longer stuck with the operating system that evolution handed us. We are actively hacking our own human OS, and we're installing new apps to redesign our Umwelt.
By 2026, wearable tech running on powerful edge AI is literally giving us new senses. And these aren't just gadgets. They are direct upgrades to our perception. We're talking about glasses that can restore sight, clothing that continuously senses our internal health, headbands that can actually track our focus. We're plugging new data streams directly into our conscious experience.
But, and this is a huge but, there's a critical difference. Our perception is anchored in a physical body. We feel things, we get tired, we get hungry. AI has no body. Researchers actually call this the embodiment crisis. AI is just a pattern-matching machine with no physical grounding. It doesn't experience reality. It just calculates probabilities about it, which makes its perception incredibly powerful, but also fragile, and sometimes just plain weird. And of course, when you start hacking your own operating system, new risks pop up. The same algorithms that can expand our senses can also trap us in digital bubbles, just reinforcing what we already believe. We could get addicted to AI-driven emotions, or even have our very perception of reality hijacked by someone with bad intentions. So, let's wrap all this up. The one key takeaway, the idea I really want you to leave with, is this. Your reality is not the reality. It's a user interface, one that's been perfectly tuned by millions of years of evolution for one thing, human survival. And for the very first time, we are gaining the tools to consciously upgrade that interface.
Which leaves us with one final, massive question to think about. As we continue to merge our biology with technology, as we install these new senses, are we actually building a bridge to see objective truth for the first time? Or are we just building ourselves a bigger, more complex, and maybe more comfortable bubble to live in?
Thank you so much for spending your time learning with us today. If you found this insightful, please hit that like button. Comment below with what surprised you the most, and of course, subscribe to InfoNow for more deep dives into our world.